Hi, welcome to this video in a series of videos I've been doing to help educate you about the immune system, which is certainly a topic of discussion in today's environment. I'm Dr. Patty Barge. I'm a traditional naturopath with a strong background in the biotechnology industry. I worked for a global biotech company for 8 years as a researcher, and I was contracted by the Massachusetts Department of Education to develop the curriculum standards and teacher certification test for biotechnology in that state. I hold 2 undergraduate degrees in animal science, a master's in biology, and 2 doctorates in natural health. As a traditional naturopath, I own a holistic therapy center called Naturally Unbridled Wellness in Onalaska, Wisconsin. This video is to bring to your attention 4 things that you should take into consideration when supporting your own immune health. So one of the things I was thinking about that I could share with you is some common misconceptions that many people have about how clinical trials work regarding vaccines. So one thing that people think is happening that doesn't happen is they think that they expose people in the clinical trial to the virus to see if the vaccine actually worked. And that's not what happens. That would actually be considered unethical. And so vaccine producers, manufacturers, don't use that as part of their clinical trials. The way the clinical trials work is they have groups of people who get a placebo and groups of people who get the experimental vaccine. So the experiment or the placebo is supposed to be quote unquote inert and not have any immune benefits. And so the thing that happens is people assume that the placebo is something like a sugar pill or a saline injection, but that's not the case in vaccine research. In vaccine research, the placebo is actually the vehicle. And what the vehicle is, it's the combination of ingredients within the vial that includes everything that's in the experimental vaccine except for the pathogen, so except for the virus particle. So that means in the control group, there are all of the vaccine excipients that would be in the vaccine. So these are things like aluminum, monosodium glutamate, fetal calf serum proteins, antibiotics, mercury in thimerosal, right? There are many. You can go to the CDC website and search vaccine excipients, and you will get a list, a PDF list that's 4 pages long for the majority of the current vaccines on the market and the additional ingredients that are included in them. So the problem, one of the problems with the vaccine research is that the vehicle that includes the adjuvant, which is an immune system irritant, and the preservatives that are in the vehicle and thus in the placebo, those are not inert. They actually have some detrimental effects. So you can do some research about aluminum and the brain or monosodium glutamate. Like these are things that are known to cross the blood-brain barrier. And when you look at the side effects of these vaccines, you'll see that headache is a common side effect and body aches because of the systemic immune inflammation. But so a few things I want you to pay attention to are when we're comparing the efficacy of the vaccine in people who have not been exposed to the pathogen. So common misconception is that people who are in the vaccine trial are exposed to the virus to see if the vaccine actually protected them. That doesn't happen. They're completely dependent on environmental exposure for these people to fall into a category within the vaccine trial to see if they have immunity or not. The other thing is that when comparing, the big problem with not using a saline injection, but the big problem with using the vehicle that includes the vaccine excipients, that in the adjuvants, the preservatives, and the other carrier molecules, those things are not inert. They do cause a lot of problems for a lot of people. And but if there's no statistical significance in a side effect between the placebo group that gets the vehicle and the vaccinated group that gets the research or the experimental vaccine, if they have the same side effects, then statistically there's no difference. So they won't say that it's a problem. So I'm hoping that's making sense for you. Like the vaccine itself, the delivery mechanism can cause immune issues. It can cause a whole list of side effects that I actually don't want to get into on this video because videos like this get censored if you get into too much detail. But I want you to realize that when they're comparing apples to apples instead of apples to oranges, then if both apples have the same side effect, they say there's no statistical significance in the amount of cancer, autoimmune disease, seizure, autism that happened between the two groups. That's because the vehicle itself can cause problems. So hopefully that makes sense. It's not a saline injection. They're not exposing people to the virus. The third thing that you need to be aware of that I believe most people are unaware of is that vaccine manufacturers have no liability, period. So if their vaccine kills, maims, or harms you, if they find out 10 years from now that it causes infertility, cancer, autoimmune disease, anything like that, they are completely immune to persecution. You cannot sue a vaccine manufacturer. It's a law. And you can research that. I did print up, one second. I did print up something to read to you about that. So, the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, the Office of Special Masters of the U.S. Court of Federal Claims, popularly known as, quote, Vaccine Court, administers a no-fault system for litigating vaccine injury claims. These claims against vaccine manufacturers cannot normally be filed in state or federal civil courts, but instead must be heard in the U.S. Court of Federal Claims sitting without a jury. So it's important that you realize that these manufacturers have zero liability when it comes to harming you or your family members or your pets. You simply cannot sue a vaccine manufacturer for damage. You can Google that. It's all over. Vaccine Injury Court, you want to look up. So that's also a strong consideration when you're thinking about putting something that this company has manufactured but has no risk, right? Before you put that into your body. The last thing that I wanted to mention in this video is about immunity. So immunity can be defined as your body's ability to fight off a disease. And so here's what's not clear with the current virus that's in the news is how long someone is immune after they have been infected. So I did some research to try to learn a little bit more about how long a person who successfully fights off the virus, how long they have antibodies for. And the most recent thing that I've been able to find from a credible source, the CDC, was roughly 90 days. So if someone gets the virus, they should have antibodies to fight off the virus for about 90 days. So that could change as time goes on. We might learn more, but that's what the CDC was saying in their most recent post about the topic. So when it comes to the vaccines, why would we think that we would have immunity for more than 90 days after the vaccine, which is like a synthetic infection, right? We've been infected with part of this virus. And that's why they're saying now you're going to need multiple injections of these really experimental vaccines, which there have been no long-term studies done to determine safety or efficacy at long range. So, whether you're looking at a flu shot, a shingles shot, or an experimental vaccine that is really, just coming to the market with zero long-term studies, zero liability, they're only basing their results on people who are exposed in the regular environment. They're not actually giving people the virus. Then you might want to just ask more questions and do more research before you get in line to put something in your body that has, here's the list of vaccine excipients. So again, this is from the CDC. It's called Vaccine Excipients Summary. Excipients included in the U.S. vaccines by vaccine. So it's alphabetical, starting with adenovirus, anthrax, all the way through the zoster shingles virus. So, I went through and highlighted some of these things: monosodium glutamate, aluminum formaldehyde, bovine serum albumin, neomycin, streptomycin, recombinant human serum albumin, host cell DNA benzenase, thimerosal, canine kidney cells, hydrolyzed pork gelatin. They're not vitamins, folks. So I just want people to make educated decisions based on science and not on the media and the stock market. So please just do a little research into what's actually going on here and how your immune system works, and give some thought to, like, if you do get in line for this highly experimental vaccine with some potentially unknown side effects and some potential detriments that you can't sue anybody for, just really give some thought to whether you want to just jump in line and get that, or if you want to kind of take a step back and give some more consideration to things that you can do to support your own immune system, like reducing inflammation in your body, drinking enough water, getting exercise, taking nutritional supplements, many things that you can do to have a healthy vessel. So I hope you've been enjoying this series of videos. As new science and research comes out, I'm going to continue to make these videos and to share them with you. I know that 2 of the vaccine companies that have come out with recent claims that they're 90 to 95% effective, they have not yet released the studies to show that, just a press release. So a press release is very different than a research paper that's been peer reviewed. So we're all jumping the gun here. So just be careful, folks, because this is the only vessel you're getting this time around, okay? So peace out, and I look forward to bringing you more education in the future. Thanks.